Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'd like to call to order this regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Ms. Stokoe, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Coco?
Here.
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here. Item B is approval of the agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the agenda of the September 24th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education in adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Stokoe, please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Item C is opening ceremony. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, he or she must notify the superintendent and/or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by announcement of his or her name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device at the address shown on the screen, and for your convenience, hard copies of the board agenda may be found on the table by the sign-in book. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is October 8th, 2025 at 5:30 in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Harris.
Please stand for the pledge if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City School District, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Item D is board business. Number 1 is the elementary school closure vote. It is recommended that the Board of Education moves to close blank elementary school beginning the 2026-2027 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have recommendations?
Anybody? I would recommend closing Preston. Not because I like it or I want to, but because I think it's better suited for the elementary, not elementary, but the preschool and for the Schnee kids. There's just more rooms available than what Price has. And that was my consideration. I don't like it because I do come from the east side. I don't like to see any buildings closed over there. We already lost Sill, and I don't want to lose other ones. And I would suggest to whoever is on the board that we build a new school, either at the Preston property or Sill property, because that side of the city has very little. And I think we owe it to them to build a new elementary school there. But that was my reasoning. Preston just has more room. So.
Does anyone have any other recommendation? All right, discussion?
I'll go first. This is one of the Hardest decisions I've had to make as a board member. We've had to make a lot up here. I want to first by thanking every parent, every teacher, every community member who has written, spoken, attending these meetings to have your voice heard. It's that passion right there, that passion for our kids, that passion for our schools, and that passion for this community that matters. So I want to thank you all so very much for being a part of this process and for bringing your voices. I don't just sit up here as a board member, I sit up here as a dad of a 2.5-year-old who will soon be walking into these classrooms. I sit here as a taxpayer just like all of you. And I sit here as someone who knows that our schools are more than just buildings. They're more than just bricks and mortar. I know that. They are the heartbeat of our community. They are where our kids grow, where friendships are formed, and where families come together. That's why we have a responsibility to our students, to our families, and to our taxpayers to make decisions that are financially responsible and sustainable for the long run. So after months of reviewing the data, listening to you, the community, and weighing our options, I believe that closing Preston Elementary, though painful, is the most responsible choice for the long-term financial health of this district. This building can still serve us well for the pre-K program, as Ms. White has mentioned, the alternative high school, more so than the other building could. And we see here, although impacting students, a path that impacts fewer students and leaves us more room to minimize disruptions of transportation. So I know my choice is going to upset some folks. It would have if I had chosen the other building as well. Change is hard, but this moment is bigger than just today. We are looking at tomorrow as well. I can promise you now, my son, your children, all the children in Cuyahoga Falls and Silver Lake that attend our schools will get good quality education and will get schools worthy of their potential. They will. That's why I made my decision with them in mind. And I want to thank everyone involved in this. I want to thank my colleagues up here. It has not been easy making this decision. I want to thank administration, Dr. Selico, everyone who got us what we needed to do so. And again, not easy, but this is where we landed, and this is what I believe is best for the district. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mrs. Schaefer?
Okay, I'm just going to read some, because, as Mr. Harris said, closing an elementary school is hard. These buildings hold so many memories. There were students built the foundations of their education, made their first friends, and developed important social and emotional skills. Both of my children attended Preston Elementary, and I spent 12 years there as a library volunteer and as a PTA parent. And I can speak firsthand about the kindness and compassion of the people in that building. I've also heard countless stories from families about the incredible principals at both Price and Preston, and about the teachers and the staff who've touched lives in lasting ways. And that's what made this decision so emotional. As a board, we had to look closely at the facts and trust the expert opinions and the data presented by our administration. We considered many factors: transportation routes, the number of buses and bus stops, how many students needed to be relocated, student achievement, class sizes, operational savings, facility condition and maintenance, building capacities, enrollment projections, and even where boundary lines would fall along main roads and side roads. Our responsibility is to make the best decision for the greatest number of students. This decision is not about the quality of people that are inside these schools, because they're all outstanding. It is about how we can best use our resources to continue serving the students well into the future. In making my decision, I focused on impacting the fewest families possible while also providing the right space to house our preschool program. Though Preston will no longer serve K-12 students, it will continue to be a home for our youngest Black Tigers. Preston is special to so many people, including myself. I made lifelong friends during my years in that building, and so did both my children. Many of us will carry Preston in our hearts and our memories forever, and while that chapter is closing, new memories will continue to be made by preschool students who will begin their journey here and continue to grow as Black Tigers.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Mr. Gomez?
I have something written as well, but before I get to that, there's just two things that are on my heart that I want to share as well. I grew up at 556 Taylor Avenue, one block from Preston Elementary, so I know that people choose their homes like my parents did because of its location and walkability to a school. And so I know the impact that the closure of a school has on that community, because it was my community growing up. And I also want to say that I think sometimes people have a perception about the board that we all know what each other's going to do. I had no idea what anyone's position was on this topic until we came to this meeting tonight. So we're all hearing each other's thoughts as we sit here and taking it all in. I like to speak from the heart, but I thought that tonight it was important to be very deliberate and thoughtful with what I said, and I wrote this last evening at 8:45 p.m., and I waited till the last minute, not because I'm a procrastinator, but because I really didn't want to face the finality of this decision. I want to thank everyone who has been so engaged throughout this process, because they care so deeply about education in the Cuyahoga Falls School District. As a district excited to open a 612 building in just a few short months, we can't say that buildings don't matter. They do. And even now, I desperately wish we weren't in an enrollment position that calls for this decision, but we are. I believe the plan to close and sell Schnee is the best plan because keeping Schnee open would require significant financial investment in the roof and other financial investments we've already made in both Preston and Price. As I evaluated the information we have asked for and received, two pieces of information really stood out to me. First, Price has strong residential enrollment. The community around Price has more residential children than Preston under our current boundaries. Second, as I worked with the rough draft boundary maps, in every scenario I was able to design, more students would be impacted in a Price closure than a Preston closure. Those two pieces are convincing to me as I wrestled with this decision and why I'm ultimately supporting the closure of my own elementary school, Preston. This decision comes with deep emotions for me personally. My elementary school, my middle school, and my high school will all no longer be what they were all in the span of 1 year. But I'm much more concerned with the emotions and impacts on our K-5 students and staff at Preston. I've already personally asked for a list of staff at Preston that would need placed, and it looks promising that folks will be able to be placed in new positions. I also asked for additional supports at whatever building is voted to be closed, and will be deploying folks to support students and staff at Preston tomorrow. The work continues as we have boundary options drafted and listen to feedback from our community on those as well. Lastly, I personally first became involved with the Board of Education in 2004 and 2005 when the then board closed two buildings with no feedback from the community. Well, this year's process ended with the same difficult decision, a vote to close a building. I'm proud of the inclusive and transparent process we used that invited our community to journey along with us.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. I would just like to add as well, thank you so much to our community and our staff that have been involved throughout this whole process. It has meant so much for everyone to be involved and to hear about the wonderful things happening in all of our buildings and in Price and in Preston specifically as we had our community meetings and a lot of feedback from those two schools. And this is a decision that we are having to make, but it's not one that any of us sitting up here have wanted to make. And like Mr. Gomez said, he procrastinated till the last minute. I did as well, because it's a reality that we knew we were going to have to face, but not one that any of us have wanted to. So I wrote something small as well, just because I knew that I would get off track if I didn't. So, as hard as this process and decision have been as a board member, I know that we are doing what is absolutely necessary for the financial future of our district this evening. We were elected by our community, and they have entrusted us with the task of fiscal responsibility. Myself, as well as my colleagues, take that very seriously, and I know that we have honored that this evening. That does not, however, make this any less hard, and I know that this does not offer much solace to our families and students and staff that will be affected by this decision. What I do know is that throughout this process, it has been evident just how special our Black Tiger family is in our buildings. And I have faith in our administration and our staff to make this transition as smooth as possible and offer all the support and resources needed for our families and staff in this process. I know that our students will every day continue to have every opportunity for academic growth in the building that they continue their education in next year. Thank you. Are we ready to take a vote? It is recommended that the Board of Education moves to close Preston Elementary beginning this 2026-2027 school year. Ms. Stokely, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye. Thank you. Item E is Treasurer CFO's Business Consent Agenda. Ms. Stokely.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve all items listed in the Treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Just a couple things, mostly normal stuff. So we have the minutes, appropriations. Those are just as we are closing out last year's grants and as we're closing out last year's grants and determining what our final carryover will be. Some of those needed amended, to take care of those. So those are just some of our federal grants. And then our donations, as always, there's a number of them for different buildings across the district, the elementary buildings, which we always very much appreciate.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Okay, Ms. Stokely, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Brings us to item F, Treasurer CFO's Business.
I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve the August 2025 investment schedule and monthly spending report.
So moved.
Second.
We'll just look at a couple of things here real quick. We can look at interest first, just to order that. So you can see, obviously, our general fund accounts, because of where we are at financially, and our cash balances are obviously down from previous years. We had a better month than July. Some of that, again, we've received those advances, so our cash balances tend to be a little higher this time of year. And kind of in the beginning, end, and middle is where we hit our low points. So, but we are still receiving interest on our construction funds. As that goes on, again, those are also dwindling down as well. We can look at general fund, just to kind of recap that. So as you can see, we, again, like I mentioned, July, August, we start receiving tax advances for real estate. So we have 2 positive months of operations, so we are a little under $10 million at the end of August going forward. So that is about what is expected at this point, given what we've had in the forecast. And the only other one I want to point out real quick is athletics, because we talked about it last month, and that, we might be seeing, more of a negative balance in those beginning months. And so you still see a negative in August, and really that has to do with the timing of when that last game was. So obviously we had a very good turnout and had a lot of ticket revenue from the first home game, the last one at the stadium. But because it was on the last business day of August, some of that stuff didn't hit the bank until September. So they are not in the negative as of this current moment. But just because we had not really received any revenue, in July or August for anything yet, is why it's like that. But everything is kind of back to normal now.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just that the Red Tree changed their report.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was caught off guard a little bit.
I couldn't hear what you said.
Said Red Tree changed their reports.
Oh.
They
It
changed
caught-
how they,
Yeah, it caught me off guard.
thank you. Ms. Stokely, please call the roll.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Great, and for your comments.
Just a couple of things really quick. Next month, next meeting, I should say, will be the forecast, which I mentioned before, and then in following years, it will be in August. Which I have to say, even doing it in October has proven to be a little bit difficult, and in August is going to be very difficult, because in August, in my world for the most part, especially salaries and benefits, we're still closing out last year. And so not having those kind of actuals is gonna be a little bit, it's going to be different, looking at that. So, this next year is gonna probably, it may look a little different than, a November or a May in that case. For example, one of the things you're gonna see is, if it had been in November, we would know what the levy, what would happen with that. At this point, we don't, so it'll still be modeled, that type of thing. And then a number of things are obviously going on legislatively that we maybe don't have answers to, as well as far as the vetoes, whether, the ones that were passed, or overridden, I should say, will be concurred and taken up. They still have time, as I mentioned before, to take up other ones. There's been some of those tax reform studies that have just come out. OEPI just did it with Howard Fleeter. I think some of you maybe have seen him before, but put out a report recently, and they're actually having a webinar. He's doing a webinar. I can forward you guys the info. I think it's on Monday, for like an hour. In regards to that document that he produced regarding property tax and all of that, but
I saw him in Columbus, he's great.
yeah, he's very smart, and he really does know what he's talking about. There are a number. We last week we had a legal update at our OASBO regional little things we do every month, and there are a hot number of items out there that could have big impacts. So I won't steal any more of Mr. Harris's thunder if that's what you want to talk about later. But that's it.
Thank you. Item G is Superintendent, CEOs of Business. Dr. Selica.
Thank you. Ms. Coco, it's recommended that the Board of Education approves all items listed in the superintendent's consent agenda,
So moved.
Second.
which is just one. The personnel items that we have are relatively routine in that we have some classified, my computer's doing something funny here, sorry about that. We have some classified and certified appointments and reassignments. We have some extra duties, mentoring stipends there. Numerous, you see there a number of leave of absences, and then a number of retirements that I just want to mention, all of them actually. We have Elizabeth Curtis Thomas, a second grade teacher at DeWitt. These are all folks that will be retiring at the end of the year. Kathleen Just, a fifth grade teacher at Preston Elementary School. Dan McGovern, eighth grade teacher at the middle school. Karen Newsom, first grade teacher at DeWitt, and I believe we asked how many years, and I forgot the answer, 47?
47.
47. And I was in her classroom yesterday, actually, chatting, and it was quite an accomplishment to go that long in elementary school teacher. I give her lots of credit. And Kelly Durbin, a seventh grade teacher at Cuyahoga Falls Middle School, and then Amy McDougall, our
Jennifer
CTE
Justice did
special
48
education
though, so
coordinator
she beat her.
at Cuyahoga Falls High School, and she works with our CTE students. So I just want to thank all of them and congratulate them, and certainly they have a school year left to go, and I hope it's a great one for all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Selica. Any questions or comments?
I was gonna say, Jennifer Justice, who retired from DeWitt a few years ago, she did 48 years though, so she beat Karen by one. Yeah,
It's a long time.
they were longtime friends as well and colleagues. So
Okay, Ms. Stokely, please call the roll.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
And Superintendent CEO's comments, business. So,
Yeah, thank you. A number of things I want to mention that are upcoming or that have passed. I saw many of you last week at the Fresh Farm event. That was great. We have coming up, these are going to be all random, State of the Schools addresses on Monday evening at 6 o'clock in the Little Theater at the high school, so hopefully we'll have some folks attend. I met with my soups troops for the first time last week, so we had a great meeting, and looking forward to working with those students again. I played principal today at Lincoln for the entire day. That was enjoyable. We have coming up next week our discipline assemblies. So as you know, customary each year, we generally have a judge, an FBI agent, a prosecutor, chief of police, SRO, and myself taking part in speaking with our middle school and high school students particularly. We typically have spoken about threats because at one time we were having such a problem, if you will, I guess, with students making threats and jokingly, but again, that is not, most cases jokingly, but we don't take those as jokes when you are making threats towards individuals or the school. So we've been showing them the consequences from the moment you make the comment if you end up in trouble, what that looks like. We're going to expand it a little bit this year, just in relation to some of the incidences we've been having this year. Unfortunately, some acts of violence, fighting, as well as I talked last time, our use of vapes with THC and nicotine. So we're going to add that to our talk about not just the consequences. We'll follow up with some education as well. And I have something that'll be going out. I've been working with Mrs. Merkel, who's here. That'll be going out to the parents to educate them as well, what to look for, other things, and also for students, the dangers of it. So we're going to continue to work with them on that. So that's happening on the 30th. So that will be pretty much my day where we travel to all the schools. We have next week, want to point out our board members here at OSBA, we have our awards ceremony. I believe Mr. Gomez will be recognized as a master board member for aptitude and recognition. There are different stages in which the board members can earn recognition. So Mr. Gomez will be awarded for that, as well as Mrs. Schaefer for her aptitude test. So we're looking forward to seeing you and recognizing you that evening. And we also will be recognizing Lincoln as a Purple Star school. So we have lots of awards and recognition next week, which will be nice. On October 3rd will be our opener for the football game. So we're excited about that.
as well, I believe.
Preston, that wasn't on my list, but are you? Oh yeah, because I called you about it, or I texted you about it. It wasn't on when I looked back at the email. You weren't on there, but the second email you were. So yes, and Preston. So we will be there. Now that I remember that, yes. And so football October 3rd. We will have our opener, and we're expecting a big crowd. We will have shuttles provided for parking because we're a little bit nervous about the amount of people that will come. We probably had 5,000 people attend our last game in Clifford Stadium, so we're expecting a large crowd there. We have a birthday coming up on our board. One of our board members has a birthday on Sunday. That lady there that just did that. So happy birthday to Mrs. White.
Thank you.
And then lastly, I just want to say, I know that the board made a really difficult decision this evening. I think it's been weighing on all of us. And I won't belabor the decision. I just know that it was, I appreciate your heartfelt messages. I know the 5 of you, and I know that every one of you spoke from the heart. So I do appreciate the job that you have to do and the tough decisions you have to make. But I do want to say on the side now, next steps, I just want to assure you that we have a plan for our communicating, number one, our school closure. So there will be some messages going out this evening to our staff, our entire district. I have a message crafted. I also will be sending a message out to the district-wide, all of our parents and families, so they can know the decision this evening before if it hasn't already hit social media. And then we will have a press release that will go out. And we also, as you had mentioned, for students, I want to thank Ms. Merkel and her team. I thought they did a phenomenal job on providing our teachers with talking points. I went through all of it. It's right here in front of me. And they were addressing just ways in which we can be strong for the students and we can be factual, we want to carry on with our routines, but explaining the what, the why, the when, and what will happen to the building, explaining what it means for our students, and then the support and reassurance that we can give to students and staff. So I thought it was well laid out. I appreciate the work. I think it's very manageable and for our staff, because we know it'll be emotional, and in delivering those messages to our students, I'm sure parents this evening, once they get the message, will be telling their children, but I also will be there in the morning to support Principal Brown and talk to the staff and answer any questions or concerns they might have, so I just want you to know that. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Can I ask a question about the opening of the new stadium?
Yes.
I've gotten actually multiple people asking if they're paying with cash at the new stadium, where do they go for that? Because we have the two entrances,
So we.
and so they want to
yeah.
just kind of know where to situate themselves in terms
Yeah.
of that.
So we're in the process of buying two very small, like sheds almost, that will be the ticket booths that will really be distinguished, but we don't have them in yet. So they're going to have tables and I think little tents set up, so they should be visible right by those entrances.
On
So
both-
the 13th.
Both
Street-
entrances?
Yes,
Okay. I will let folks know.
and I want to make sure, I'll look at Mr. Hutch.
Because I've been getting that question from people, and I said,
That
I
sound
will
right?
get back to you.
13th
And the west side.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Can I ask another question? Is handicap parking available already?
Yes, we have, and I'm glad you're bringing this up. So we have a map that Ms. Stewart has created with TDA's department. So we will send it out to all of our parents, and we'll give it to the opposing team as well. It's a map that will show you all the areas in which you can park and where the entrances will be and all of that. So everyone will get in a traffic flow, they'll see. Thank you.
Item I is board business. Number 1 is approval of support organization. It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the following support organizations: Cuyahoga Falls High School PTSO, Gordon DeWitt Elementary School PTO, Elizabeth Price Elementary School PTO, Instrumental Music Patrons, Cuyahoga Falls Visual Arts Booster Club, Cuyahoga Falls Vocal Music Patrons, and Silver Lake Home and School League.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you to all the organizations for getting that paperwork in.
Yes, thank you
I
very
see
much.
you, Miss Longwell.
Okay, Ms. Stokely, please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Item 2 is resolution for the cybersecurity program. It is recommended that the Board of Education approves the resolution to adopt a cybersecurity program for the Cuyahoga Falls City School District.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'll have
Yes,
Mr. Hutch
absolutely.
speak to this.
So House Bill 96 requires us no later than September 30th to formally adopt a cybersecurity program. We've had the NIST framework in place for a long time, but your PDQ, the next iteration of policy EHA, our cybersecurity policy will meet the requirement, but it won't have met the requirement in time. So we wanted to make sure we formally resolved that we will develop and continue to develop our cybersecurity program in compliance with House Bill 96 prior to September 30th. So it's simply to get ahead of a policy that's ultimately coming that's going to say largely the same thing at our next policy adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Hatch. Any questions or comments? Ms. Stokely, please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye. Right. Item 3 is the first read of the 2026-2027 calendar. Do you have any discussion? This is just the first read before approval. It's hard to believe that we're already looking at the calendar for a year from now. I appreciate all the hard work that goes into getting this done early for,
Yeah, I feel like it's earlier this year.
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Right. Any comments or questions on that? We're good. Item 4 is future agenda items. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add? We know that we have the 5-year coming up.
We have the report card, 5-year.
And the boundaries on the 22nd.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll definitely have an update. I'm not sure what that update will look like. I did let Mrs., it is on our agenda, it's here. Mrs. Johnson know that we'll be, now we gotta go to work. And I know that, I have not checked in with her, if I'm being honest, in the last couple of weeks. I will check in with her before the end of this week and find out the status, because I know she's working on the boundaries, the new line, or new bus routes for when we open the campus in January. So I'm sure they're busy working on that, but I will talk to her about now getting to work on these boundary lines.
Thank you.
And then in December, I know we only have one meeting, but we usually have the update on success and wellness. And then it also meets the requirements of that annual notification. So if we could do that, that would be helpful. Plus then we meet that requirement piece as well. So 2 birds. And then in November, could we have conversation about the strategic plan? Because by then it should really be rolling. So could we have some like updates about that? How is it going? How is the marketing going, etc.?
January, you said?
November.
Oh, November? Oh. Well, if I'm gonna be honest, there won't be a lot. We won't have our first, we'll be right in having our first meeting. Because in October, well, actually very soon, our next edition of ROAR will be going out to solicit more people if they're interested in serving on the committees. We will be doing that internally, but we wanted to, broaden our reach with our community members and families to be part of it. So the first meeting's happening in November. So January would honestly be more realistic to have something to report. We're just really inundated with lots of stuff happening this fall. I'm not making excuses, but we're just super busy. But we have been talking about it.
I'd still like to have a conversation in November. I don't want to go 6 months. It's a 3-year
Okay.
plan only. I don't want to go 6 months without talking about it as a board. It's one of our most important pieces of work as a Board of Education. I don't think we should go a sixth of the time without even discussing it.
Well, does it hurt to have just a general discussion in November and then a presentation in January?
Yeah, I don't
I
think that
mean-
hurts.
Okay.
Yeah, we can handle that. Yeah.
The first meeting in November. Just a
Unless there's
discussion.
something else that comes. I mean, we have 2 meetings in November, so
Right.
either or is fine with me.
Yeah.
I have a question
Yep,
too,
store that one.
unrelated to that, but I was thinking about the bus route thing. Do we have to reapprove bus routes then?
Once they're final.
Yes.
So in December?
It depends on what the revised code says.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
have to
during
look.
COVID, I don't know if during COVID, if we voted on them every time we changed up. You're probably gonna have to ask the lawyer what the revised code says on that.
Yeah.
'Cause the revised code is really specific about approving them so close to when it starts, but I don't know about when you change them, what that requirement is.
Okay.
Are you speaking to the new when the new campus opens?
Yeah.
Approving those?
Yes.
Because we changed them at least once during the 2020-21 school year when we switched delivery models during COVID. And I don't recall us voting to reapprove them.
I think we did. We looked at them, I know.
I don't
We
think we
have,
voted
but I
on them.
don't think we voted, I'm not sure.
It's a great question, though. I would have not
Something
thought
should
to
be
ask
looked
that.
into
Yeah,
for sure, of whether it's required. But even if it's not required, we still can. But if it's required, we definitely need to.
True.
True, yes.
So I have to go to the revised
Yeah.
code for that one.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Right, that brings us to our committee reports. Athletics and Activity Council, Mr. Gomez? Or, I'm sorry, not that, board policy.
Yeah, we just, late last week received the September Policy Development Quarterly from our policy provider, so we'll be working to schedule a meeting soon and bring, policies to the board for first read.
Thank you. Legislative Liaison, Mr. Harris?
Yeah, and Ms. Stoikoi, always feel free to talk as much as you want about property taxes. Please. Just a quick update here, and Dr. Stoikoi, I believe you included these in our notes. I do appreciate that, the legislative outlook you have. The Ohio's Property Tax Reform Working Group, I believe they're meeting this week. I don't think they've met yet, but they will be meeting this week to try to meet that deadline from Governor DeWine to have that report by September 30th. There has been a introduction of taxpayer freedom trilogy bills. House Bill 420, the discontinuing the continuum. House Bill 421, arresting the inside millage. And House Bill 422, triumph of the taxpayer. So House Bill 420 eliminates the perpetual tax levies that requires voter approval for renewals. All existing levies would expire by 2030. House Bill 421 gives voters the power to reduce the property tax rates local governments can impose without public vote. House Bill 422 changes voter approval thresholds for new levies, making it harder to raise taxes. So this is these are pieces of legislation that could destabilize school funding. These are going to be bad for school. It's bad for local control in general. So that like Ms. Stoikoi said, there's just a lot that could possibly happen here. So I will just do my best to keep you all posted on that. And again, Ms. Stoikoi, we'll kind of go back and forth on some of that information there. So, but yeah, I think that that tax reform group, they should be meeting later this week to release their report on things.
So they're actually gonna take away the money that we get on our levies. Are they looking at the state giving us money? No,
Yeah,
I had to ask, I know
right,
the
yeah.
answer, but I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, and I think I'd mentioned, in the last meeting too, and I mean, it's clear what is happening here. I mean, these are strategic ways to defund public education in Ohio and favor private education. So I'll keep you guys posted as we get stuff. So.
Well, it was actually the Cuyahoga County Commissioners, who are all Republicans, who did the research and found out that inside millage was actually established in the Ohio Constitution. So a piece of legislation cannot repeal something that's in the Ohio Constitution. So there's a lot of hand-wringing around that in Columbus, because they're trying to go after inside millage, but it's actually in the state constitution. So perhaps they can change the distributions, but they
Right.
can't,
They'll try.
they actually can't take away inside millage because it's
Right.
established
They'll find
in the
their bunch.
Constitution.
They'll try.
And then another thing is they're talking about sales tax, but this, or income taxes, neither of which I think people want, because I think the answer people would prefer when we talk to people is they would not like their taxes to be raised.
Right.
So it's not that they want alternative means of taxation. But if you look at the county agencies that we have, such as the Developmental Disabilities Board, the Alcohol, Drug, ADM Board,
Yep.
and the CSB Board, as well as Metro, RTA, that are supported through voted tax levies as well.
Yep.
If all of their tax levies were repealed, the only way that they could get money would be through a sales tax. And it would take a 17% increase in the county's sales tax to replace their funding that they currently get through voted millage.
And that hurts lower income.
Yeah.
Those-
Well, no one would buy things in
No,
Summit
yeah,
County.
yeah,
It's
I
for
know,
area.
that would
No one
really-
would buy things in
Right.
Summit County, the least of which would be cars, which are one of the major
Right.
drivers of sales tax income
Right.
to the county. So we would all drive to a county nearby because it'd be worth the gas to go
Yeah.
shop
There.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at somewhere just across the border. So
That's
I'm
a good
not,
note.
you know, we would all love, school board members, superintendents, and treasurers included, to pay less than property taxes, but we have to be realistic about where the other sources of funding are gonna come from, because nobody's gonna pay 17% more in sales tax either.
That's a good note. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you. That brings us to item 6, comments. Mr. Harris, you're up first.
Sorry, I don't have a lot. The Clifford Stadium send-off, everything. Teddy had a fantastic time. I had a fantastic time. It was great sitting around some folks that were just telling and sharing stories and stuff. He wasn't, my son, didn't want to get pictures with our mascot at that event, but we had the Fresh Farm Garden Party, and he opened up a little bit. So that event was fantastic, always is. It was just a crazy day that day. I believe we had some fantastic weather for it, if I remember correctly. It was very well attended. I couldn't stay too long, but it was great. And then
His picture made it to the Facebook page.
I think yes, it did. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's still a celeb. Still a celeb. And then I just want to mention this. I was at an event yesterday, and I had one of our high school students come up to me and was chatting to me about school funding and just legislative things. And I was just very much amazed by it, asking these questions about private school transportation, why we're having to front that, and even asked for how they could get more involved in reaching out to their state representatives. And I was really just blown away by it. I'm going to provide them that information, and I just love seeing our students rolling up their sleeves and wanting to be involved and more involved in their education. So that's really all I have. So.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mrs. Schaefer?
I don't have much. I will say, I think probably the highlight was the Clifford Stadium. That was so exciting. The Tiger tailgate, then the game. There was some pretty exciting things happening at the game. The score didn't really reflect the excitement of the game, but I was on my feet a couple times, and then after the one, and you guys are sick of me saying this probably, but one of my favorite things is at the end of the game, the band plays the alma mater, the football team comes over to the band, they play the alma mater, but then students take the field as well, and then everyone stands, the band plays the alma mater. Though since this was the last game, other people were able to take the field and kind of walk the field, so the band played a lot of songs. They played for a while, and we were able to kind of walk on the field and just kind of take in. The band played, and Mr. Gomez and I were able to walk on the field for a few minutes and just kind of take it in under the lights and everything, and one more time. And when the band was playing, and actually Mr. Gomez pointed this out to me, when we were walking it on the field, the band was playing and they said one last time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, they said one last time. He said they said that during the performance, but I didn't catch it during the performance. So yeah, it was pretty emotional. But then the next morning, got to see the girls soccer team play on the new field, and it's just, and it was a beautiful morning. It was just, it was so, it was so neat. It's like this is where we play now. This is like state of the art. I love Clifford Stadium. It's where I grew up. That's our, but like this new place it was really neat. It was really neat. It was a beautiful day, and the ladies got to play on it first.
Thank you for mentioning that, because I forgot those two events. I was at both of them, I just didn't blur. We've been planning event after event after event. We keep crossing off our list, so
I know, it's
not that we don't enjoy these celebrations. We're happy when they're done because we move on to the next, but it was very nice.
It's been so
They were
busy,
both
but it was
beautiful.
very exciting, and we've been waiting for these things to happen, like to get to see the stadium, get to see people sitting in those bleachers. And one exciting thing is that when you're walking through the walkways, is you can kind of go to your seat, and you're not necessarily blocking someone's view. There are some places that you would be, but like I could be walking from one place to the next, and someone can still be seeing the game, and so that's also nice. So it was very exciting. It'll be exciting every time.
It will be.
Yeah, and thanks to the team. I'm sorry to interject again, but I forgot to mention that one. It didn't, I had a list here, but I missed. But thanks to my team, I know Miss Stewart and our administrators and all the principals who set up events for the tailgate and all the, the nice ceremony with the Clifford Shoemaker family. It was all very nice, so I appreciate the work of my team. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Miss White?
Yeah, Clifford Stadium is, I tried so hard when I was a kid to make cheerleading for 4 years. I did, and it, because I wasn't real coordinated, but my sophomore year I finally made it, and I got to cheer on that field. And so many of my mentors, like Marty, well, back then it was Clifford, now it's Schumacher, but, they had taught us, and so it's just hard to watch something like that go. Also, my daughter cheered for a year or two on that field as well. So it's just sad in a way, but it's good that the new one is so beautiful as it is. So it was very hard. The Fresh Farm Garden, that was a highlight. That was just wonderful. Those kids are I will say, I walked around, saw all the artists, the young artists. I would hang any of their pictures in my house. They're just beautiful, so talented. And I hope they do sell their little paintings because they are just wonderful. And I talked to each of them, and they were just so sweet. And then I did get to see my friend Jennifer Schulman, the art teacher. We taught across the hall from one another, so I got to know her. And she's just a lovely person. And then Steve and Steve, the two Steves, also taught with them. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful program. And I'm so happy and proud that is going so well. And I do have an article, but I don't think I can read it tonight. So I will wait on that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Miss White. I'm up next. I know everybody is mentioning the same thing over and over again, but I think it's such a monumental thing with the Clifford last game at Clifford that it had a huge impact, even though I know that it probably, for those of you that went to school there, and it probably hit a little bit different for you than for me, but it still was very emotional because I have attended a lot of games over the years there, and a lot of stuff, but it was a really nice ceremony, and it was a good evening and a good way to celebrate the ending of that era as we go into the next. And then went to the soccer game the next morning, and to stand there, and I talked to a lot of the parents who had not been able, it was the first time, and they were just like, wow, this, we've driven by, but to be here and to stand here and to see it is just, more than what I guess they expected even. And to be able to watch our women athletes out there on the field, and you could see the sense of pride that they had. And I know that will continue, and I'm very excited, for our first football game there. I'm just very excited for not just that field, but our 6 through 12 campus as it opens, because I think it will be wonderful to have a building that matches the pride of our community. And it's a long time coming, so that was very exciting. And then, of course, Fresh Farm, it gets bigger every year. I have to park further and further away every year when I go to that event, because there's so many people that come to that. So it was a great event. And that is all, Mr. Gomez.
I'm gonna go in reverse order. So Fresh Farm, I was able to buy a cabbage, some onions and garlic that they grew there, and it was delicious. So that was wonderful. I took my oldest nephew to the first game at the new stadium. He was so impressed. We peeked in the cafeteria as well because he could look in, but he just thought it was so impressive. And it's nice because when somebody blocks a goal or does something good, they flash their picture up on the screen. And I like that too because then the athletes get more recognition, and I really enjoy that because we're highlighting our students more. And then when I was at Clifford Stadium for the last time, I convinced Miss Stewart. I grabbed Coach Ross. He was there with his son, one of his sons, and his grandson. And I got convinced him. He took some cajoling to let Miss Stewart take a picture of him on the field with his son, one of his sons and his grandson. And I knew that he would appreciate that. And then he teared up, of course,
I'm
because that's who
sure.
he is.
Yeah,
You know
I
him.
know. I
You've known
do.
him. But the memory I kept thinking of, and it ties back to Preston when I was a student there, so I thought that would be appropriate to end with, is in the 90s when I was a student at the elementary schools, every elementary school had their own night at the home football games, where you would get a free ticket if you were elementary school, and it was like a little paw, like yellow paw, and it said your school's name on it. And then you would go sit in your like little section. So Preston always had to share with another school because there were only 5 home games. We had 7 schools. We were tiny little Preston, so we'd share with like Price or Newberry, one of the other small schools. But then you would go sit with all your elementary school people that night. And so I kept thinking about those, and like being one of my best memories of elementary school of when it'd be a Friday night. You got to sit there with all your friends and family from Preston,
That was
sitting there at the football game. So
Yeah.
that's what I kept thinking of. Some of my best memories as a kid. So.
Yeah, I remember when the football players and cheerleaders would go to the elementary for trick or treat, and we called it fun versus vandalism. We would go and meet these little kids, not that I was that big,
It was a different time then,
It was
Miss
just
White.
it was so much fun to go. Okay, I know, but it ties in with that. It was just fun to see the little ones. Oh well.
No. It's awesome. That's great. I love that
So
about
many
the elementary
memories. So
kids
many memories.
going and having family nights. Item J is executive session. It is pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22 G2. It is hereby moved that the board adjourn to executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, the sale of property at competitive bidding, or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property.
Second.
Going into executive session.
We have to vote.
I'm sorry.
We have to vote.
Ms. Stokely, please call the roll.
Mr. Harris. Aye. Mrs. Schaefer.
Aye.
Ms. White.
Aye.
Ms. Coco.
Aye.
Mr. Gomez.
Aye.
Executive session at 6:27 PM. There will be no motions afterward.